I see Ken rocking out back there. Yeah.
I love my boys from down under.
So I just want to get this right. 10 people killed at an adult school in Sweden, and they already know it's not terrorism.
That's what the BBC says police are saying.
Yeah. I mean, that's I don't know what it, but the fact that they've ruled it out like an hour and a half after it happened, and they know, and the BBC's ruling it out, so automatically you can take that with a grain of salt. I mean, this is remember, this is Britain, right? This is first, it happened in Sweden, and secondly, it's Britain. These are the people that arrested some girl because she farted into a phone.
Goodness.
Yeah. And that's not a joke. That literally happened.
That's serious.
That's insane. So 10 people killed in a place like Sweden, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it seems like
you'd think it would be bigger.
Right.
Right.
And I'm not like nobody here, our media is not really covering it that much. I'm having to go. I need to check Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera sometimes has are really on top of stuff like this.
The Sun America has it. But outside of that, they just said people were screaming and yelling as the guy prowled the hallways in the campus in Regensburg. And they've got pictures of a grainy kind of footage of him just walking with a long gun. It's hard to tell what he has, but I have no idea. But it's just odd how fast they were like, oh, it's not this. Want to make sure that everybody knows. I mean, it may not be. I mean, it'd just be a nut job. Somebody got a bad grade. Somebody who's nuts.
Yeah, and it's a school for adults. However, on this campus, there are classrooms for children too. So I'm not really quite sure what kind of school it is.
But you would think because of, and we've talked about this even a couple weeks ago, the body count and how uptight everybody is, you would think that this would be making more news.
Right.
Nobody's even reporting it.
Right, especially in Sweden.
Yeah. I mean, it's an odd situation. It's about 100 miles west of Stockholm. Stockholm's super expensive but beautiful.
Yeah.
It is a place, it offers elementary school and high school level for student ages 20 or over.
Okay.
Mostly for immigrants as well as vocational training. So could be the exact opposite. Could be somebody who didn't want immigrants there. You don't know. But the fact that would be terrorism too.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, I mean, but you ruled it out on both sides. So that leaves a deranged man or somebody who got a bad grade. And
it does look like he's got a rifle.
Yeah.
He's walking with there.
Definitely. So it's they're saying I've seen he's dead.
Yes. I saw it. Yeah, he's.
Yeah. So it's so weird that nobody's really reporting it. I find that odd.
Man, there's so much coming out of Washington right now. Maybe they don't have time. I don't know.
Yeah, there's so much coming out of Washington. It's nonstop. It's nonstop. I was explaining to people the other day. So people asked me about my show, and I was talking to Chris about how I do the show, and I have to update it throughout the day. So when I get home for the afternoon version of my show, I update all the stuff that's not relevant for this morning. Right. And I said, when Biden was president, I rarely did it because it was just so slow. But I remember the first time when Trump was president, there wasn't a day basically that I didn't have to update stuff.
Right.
Yeah. And everybody's like, aren't you excited? I said, yeah, I'm excited Trump won. At the same time, it can be exhausting.
Yes.
Because I got to do like 9 shows during the day. It is kind of funny.
I mean, yeah, it's like, it was yesterday. He sat down to sign the executive order on building that, the USA Wealth Fund.
Yeah.
That's going to kind of where the government puts money in whenever they, buy things like TikTok or something like that. And that turned into an hour-and-a-half press conference.
And you never know what he's going to say.
And you've got to pay attention to it. I can't just turn away from it because exactly he takes any question. It doesn't matter what topic.
No, he will answer anything. And if you're afraid of the answer, don't ask the question. Because he will answer any question.
Yes, he will.
And he'll answer it honestly, and it makes you laugh. You heard the Bill Maher thing, right? When Bill Maher
No, what?
Oh, my God. I see if I still have that from yesterday. It was Bill Maher asked, talking about, are you going to go visit the crash site? So do you remember the whole?
Oh, yes.
And he's like, it's in freaking water.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I did hear that, yeah.
And you're like, okay, what? But it's a stupid question, and he's going to answer it, and he's probably going to call you stupid for asking it. But some people live, see, here's the thing, some people live off that. Like all of these politicians, they want to make a little bit of a name for themselves. Obviously, they want to be celebrities, but you got to think about this too. So many of these people that you see now that are, these journalists that are, they're everywhere. They got to that everywhere point in many cases because of Trump fighting with them.
Yeah.
I mean, they
Jim Acosta landed that prime time slot on CNN because he fought with Trump.
Yeah. And then now he stepped away. He's done. He left because they wanted to move him till midnight.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I quit. Okay. Quit. I mean,
Well, let's be honest, though. If you were working on CNN, you'd have a problem doing the shift that only had 7 viewers.
I know. It's like, I can't get my parents to watch all the time.
It's how much burden are you going to put on them?
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's so bad. You guys have, when you look at the numbers for CNN and you realize that, like a rerun of SpongeBob. I don't know who said that last week. That Burchett or somebody said a rerun of SpongeBob's watching.
Yeah,
more people are watching that. That's a kick to you. I mean, it is as a journalist or as an entertainer or as anything. That's like a right to your grundle.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to, you're the worst one. Nobody's watching you. And I don't even know. In like MSNBC, the thing about them picking the wacky lane that they picked is they've caught all the wackies. So that's all they needed. Fox had its place, right? And some other people went even further right. They got OAN or whatever, Newsmax or whatever it is that they're but they're still, Fox is still dominant.
Yeah.
But it's nothing compared to like somebody like Mr. Beast will drop something today, the internet guy, and within an hour it'll have like 400 gazillion views.
Yeah.
There's nothing compared to that. Nothing. I mean, these people have the amount of viewers some of these other people have. That's what drives the media crazy. And what drives the people on the internet crazy is those people make a ton of money, and the internet folks, while some of them make great money, not as much. What do you think Acosta was pulling down? $3-4 million a year? That's good money if you can get it.
Well, he's not worth that, but probably.
Yeah, well, no, not worth it. But the reality is, in this day, if somebody's willing to pay you, you take it. But that's...
Oh, if you could pay me $3 million for sucking at something, I'm ready to just absolutely be horrible
at it.
I'd
do that now.
I just don't get $3 million.
Oh, God. So you guys are going to want to hear this. They've learned nothing. They're called the DNC. So this weekend, they voted on their new leader. Now, you can't have the beginning of anything with the Democrats without, of course, the always exciting land acknowledgement.
The Democratic National Committee wishes to acknowledge that we gather together to state our values on lands that have been stolen through many centuries by the ancestors and the descendants of tribal nations who have been here since time immemorial. We honor the communities native to this continent and recognize that our country was built on indigenous lands.
Okay. Why? Why are you doing that? You've learned nothing. And I like how it was stewarded. Like you handed it off to the good white people who are Democrats, and they stewarded it. No. If you're going to do that, then what's that for? Who's that for? You've learned nothing. You're not giving the land back. So, hey, we're going to invite you up here so you can make some silly remark about how this was stewarded or whatever, taken from, blah, 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 blah. And we're not even going to let you sell souvenirs so you can help a foundation. We're just not doing that. We want you to say that. So then you get to the point where you're like, all right, what other insanity can these folks do? Well, let's start with the rules. We got to make sure we got the rules because any good organization is going to have rules because we're voting. So on your mark, get set, rules.
Rules specify that when we have a gender non-binary candidate or officer, the non-binary individual is counted as neither male nor female, and the remaining 6 offices must be gender balanced. With the results of the previous 4 elections, our elected officers are currently 2 male and 2 female. In order to be gender balanced, we must elect 1 male, 1 female, and 1 person of any gender. To ensure our process accounts for male, female, and non-binary candidates, we conferred with our RBC co-chair, our LGBT caucus co-chair, and others to ensure that the process is inclusive and meets the gender balance requirements in our rule.
Okay. Hey, guys, if you think that's it, we're just getting started. Because, you see, now that we kind of got that out of the way, how exactly how do we vote?
We're finding out ways to expedite this. Because of our gender balance provisions on this next ballot, you will be able to vote for 2 candidates of any gender on the next ballot. Okay? So on this next ballot, you will be able to vote for 2 candidates of any gender on the next ballot. If 2 candidates receive...
Gets better.
I'm going to turn to Helen to clarify this last part.
See, even they don't know what the hell they're saying.
Great.
So this is just a vote, right? So they got to have it all. What's the evenness? Who's this? We got non-binaries over here. We got this. What? And oh, wait, hold on. I got to turn to Helen, and I'm like, oh, wait, I got to see what Helen's all about. So Helen rolls on up. Oh, and she's just a peach.
You are in this next ballot where you have 2 votes. As the chair has said, you may vote for 2 males, 2 females, 2 of any gender, okay? Nope, you can't do that because we've got to balance. You could vote for 1 of any gender, okay? Or no, non-binary gender, excuse me. It is late, okay?
Good grief.
Wow. They can't even get their own terminology down.
Oh, no, wait, you can't. No, can you do that? I don't think you can. I can't. We're running out of people to bring up here, Helen, so you better come up with something. Like that. You've learned nothing. You've had 3 months, and you think to yourself, this is what we're going to do. We're going to roll this out. We're going to be tougher. We're going to be down. We're going to get back to talking about stuff. And you spend 45 minutes trying to explain to people how they can vote based on whether or not somebody chooses a gender or not, and to make it equally balanced. And then the guy that's trying to explain it, who just looked so perplexed, that he turned it over to Helen. And Helen's like, I'm tired. Like, I don't even know what to do.
It's late. I need a nap.
Oh.
You've learned nothing. Continue to do what you've done. You'll continue to get what you get. It's as simple as that. Helen, come on. Just a little bit more.
Or no, non-binary gender, excuse me. It is late, okay?
Wow.
Wait, I can't. Wait, can you do that? I don't. You've learned nothing. Play a stupid game, win a stupid prize. That's all I got to say. Coming up.
That's funny, man.
It's sad.
It is sad too, yeah.
Because if you were a Democrat, just a run-of-the-mill, old-school kind of Reagan Democrat, you're a union member kind of thing, kind of old-school, you're sitting around going, what happened to that party? That party, you guys decided to leave for academia, people with 12 different genders who have $200,000 in student debt because they got a dance degree, interpretive at that.
Yeah.
And you are looking around going, you represent nothing. And you may not be a fan of Republicans, but at least they're living in a world of common sense for a vast majority of the time. Not always, but a vast majority of it. Coming up, more fun stuff. I don't even know it's that fun. We got some shark stuff coming up in a little bit, too. Australia.
Oh, yeah.
Bell talks about it, right? Like there's no place on the planet that wants to kill you more than Australia.
I'm telling you.
That country was based on making sure anybody that stepped on its lands got wiped out.
Or if you're in the ocean. Talk about that as well. It is Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. Bulwark Capital, which you call my buddy over there, Zach Abraham, Chief Investment Officer, they want to go over your retirement. They want to give you a second opinion. They want to walk you through all the things that are going on in your retirement. And the reason for that is simple. Everybody out there has a dream for their retirement. For some people, it is sitting on an island drinking out of a coconut. That's what I always say. For other people, it's maybe taking that dream that you had of a hobby and turning it into something, and they want to help you get there. They're not cookie cutter. They're active management of your funds, meaning they work with you to design something that works for you. They're going to give you a second opinion on all the things that are going on in your account. Send you on your way. Call 866-779-RISK today. That's 866-779-RISK. Or go to knowyourriskradio.com. That is KNOW, yourriskradio.com, to get a free risk review from Bulwark Capital Management. Investment advisory services offered through Trek Financial LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Investments involve risk and are not a guarantee. Past performance not guarantee future results. Trek 25103.
Yeah, the death toll stands at 10 after this school shooting in Sweden. We are still monitoring those reports. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu meeting with President Trump in D.C. today. We've got some audio on that coming up at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, we forget that there's stuff going on globally, that we still have Ukraine. Trump is putting some sort of conditions on getting more help for Ukraine, that we want access to your minerals, if you will, your precious minerals. And then when it comes to what's going to happen with Israel, the reality of two nations or two peoples that can't seem to live together, nothing has changed. Nothing. And I saw I think it was one of the hostages said, yeah, there's no chance of getting the rest of the hostages out, which means either they're dead or they recognize that once the hostages are out, that they could go whole hog and do whatever they want to them. And I think that's a fear that a lot of people in Gaza have, that Israel's just going to go wipe everybody out. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, they get something done, and while it might be uneasy, what's it look like? How do you rebuild that? Like, I mean, you think California and Hawaii are a mess, and you know, after in North Carolina, imagine what that place is like. And same thing with Ukraine. Now, we know what's going to happen to Ukraine, because the same people that are blowing it up, and by that I mean the people here who produce all these stuff, also have other divisions that are going to go clean it up and help build. That's what we do. But in Israel,
the disposal effort in Gaza is, we estimate, 3 to 5 years just to dispose of all the things before you can look down beneath the surface of the soil, and then before you get a master plan done.
What is a master plan? Well, we're going to give everybody 3-bedroom, 2-bath, cookie-cutter homes, which is how you get out of this. You don't export democracy. You give people capitalism. That's what you export. You give them future and a hope. If they have future, that looks like I've got a life, they're less likely to want to blow themselves up on a bus. If they don't have a future and powers that be are easily able to use their influence to blame it on the people on the other side, well then, that's what happens.
Your life will never get better. This is what we need you to do to make the point. Just put the vest on.
We need you to blow yourself up. The quicker you do that, the better it's going to be for all of it. And you forget that they have like a fund. Like we're trying to put together a solvent wealth, fund, which a lot of countries have that. I saw people yesterday like, I can't believe he wants to do that. So many nations have that. I think there's 30 plus like big, strong, powerful money in the bank kind of nations, not like some nation over here like Chad. Great country? No, not really. We're struggling. I gotta be honest with you guys.
The only thing good about that country is the name.
That's it. And, they don't really have like a big one. But I don't think we need one. I don't know why. I get where Trump's trying to go with this. And I heard Chris earlier, and we don't need one because, as Chris put it, just like when everybody says, oh, we should take Canada as a state. No, we shouldn't. Because, A, it's a country. We don't want that. They're our allies. And it's fun to troll them, whatever. But on top of that, they're also going to be pretty liberal. It's California, too. Electric Boogaloo. So if you think that you want that, well, good luck to you. Plus, do we really want Canada? Do we need Canada? No, we don't.
Like I said, I've got plenty of Miss Butterworth in the pantry.
You do. It's phenomenal, too. My wife gets mad. We have a lot of maples. Somebody said, don't we have maples? Yeah, we do.
All through this state has a ton of maple trees.
Yeah. Isn't like the entire part of the Northeast corridor from Vermont, Delaware, and all? That's all that stuff is, right?
Not only do we not need Canada's maple syrup, we don't need the government delivering maple syrup. No. We can handle that on our own.
And we don't need them running TikTok, by the way. That was, I'm a no-go on that one. Sorry, people. But Trump's like, we could buy TikTok. No, I don't need the government owning TikTok.
No.
Just like I don't need them spending money to have NPR or any of that stuff.
Or owning the New York Times or the Washington Post or any newspaper.
I mean,
or website.
The thought that they would own TikTok is absurd. And it's scary. Because remember, eventually, you're not going to be in charge. And your side might not be in charge. And then all of a sudden, they've got access to the fund. And they've got access to the tick and the talk or whatever it is. That's not going to happen. Plus, I think TikTok would be probably not wanting to sell it if we wanted the algorithm, knowing how important the algorithm is, and it's a closely guarded secret in China that they look at militarily. So I don't think they would sell it to us, but I don't want us to have TikTok.
And this is not the only Chinese app that's in our systems that does this exact same thing. TikTok's just the biggest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's why the free speech thing never, stood up because, you can go to do all that stuff on TikTok elsewhere. TikTok has a better platform for it, and that's what it's built for. But I don't want state media run. As somebody said, state media? No. State TikTok? No. How weird would it be that our state media would be made in China? Think about that for a second. Australia wants to kill you, and by that I mean everything that swims, crawls, or whatever. We're going to talk about that because we have a segment called Nature Will Mess You Up, and you guys will be introduced to it straight ahead. It is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7.
1:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Rutherford County still got some construction on the road there. Right lane blocked, 847. Going to be westbound right there before Bill France Boulevard. Stop and go traffic from Couchville Pike. And then here in Nashville, got a crash, 24 eastbound right after Murfreesboro Pike. That's going to be exit 52. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. We're monitoring reports of that school shooting out of Sweden. Police say at least 10 people killed at an adult school in western Sweden. Police say the shooters believed to be among the dead. No further attacks expected. They do not suspect terrorism. They say the suspect acted alone and was not previously known to them. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu meeting with President Trump in D.C. as the ceasefire in Gaza appears to be holding. White House Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff wouldn't say whether phase 2 of the ceasefire deal would include a long-term troop withdrawal in Gaza, but did say negotiations are underway.
Phase two has its own protocol attached to it, and that's what we're observing, and that's how I would answer.
Here in the U.S., Robert F. Kennedy Jr., closer to being confirmed as Secretary of Health and Human Services, Stephen Portnoy.
All eyes were on Louisiana Republican Senator Bill Cassidy, a doctor who said Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s statements on vaccines left him concerned and whose questioning of Kennedy at last week's hearing exposed gaps in the nominee's understanding of the Medicaid program. Explaining his support, Cassidy credits Vice President Vance with giving him honest counsel and the Trump administration writ large with making serious commitments. For now, there doesn't appear to be enough opposition in the GOP-controlled Senate to block Kennedy's confirmation.
And reports say President Trump making strides to close the Department of Education. Elon Musk and members of the Department of Government Efficiency were seen inside the building, and the president expected to sign an executive order that would direct the Secretary of Education to start dismantling it. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Tornado. What is that all about? You might need to call USS after this. United Structural Systems. So, rain, you know what that can do for your house? You know, the little things, the little cracks, the little areas, little things, your foundation. My goodness. Mold, yuck. How about wood rot? You don't want any of that. USS, they're there to help. That water, the stuff that you don't see, that's the whole thing too, right? You got a little crack. You think, hey, it's no big deal. It's what's underneath. And that's what USS is going to come out and do. All right? So their experience, 30 years, United Structural System, in basement, right? Going to the basement, crawl space, waterproofing, looking around going, oh, you guys didn't see what was going on, but it was ugly. That's what they're there for. They are amazing. USS is going to come out and give you an inspection. It's going to be absolutely free. They're not going to sell you anything crazy, not put you in anything, oh, you need to do this, this, and this. They're there to help. They guarantee their best. If you're worried about the what-if scenario, don't be. Call USS today, 615-488-7855. That's 615-488-7855. Or go to USSTN.com. So you want something scary? My uncle just sent me something from NVIDIA, and they've got a new robot, and I'll send it to you guys in a little bit. Maybe we'll post it. And it is...
Is she cute?
Right now, all it is it looks like a robot. That's what it looks like. But...
Like the underskeleton, that kind of thing?
Yeah, but the movements are so human. They've got it doing the Ronaldo where he jumps, the soccer player, and he spins and he does the ole kind of thing, and it looks just like him.
Wow.
Yeah, so be prepared, folks. It's happening. It's happening. Nature, on my show, we do a little thing called Nature Messing You Up. Nature will mess you up. Because it will.
Is that you?
That is me.
That was awesome.
That was good.
Nature will mess you up. And in this, I will do all kinds of wacky stuff. Because I talk about nature because I'm in nature a lot. But I recognize when I go certain areas in nature, I fall down the food chain. Okay? Do we recognize this, everybody? Right, we joke about the bear thing the other day, and then everybody's like, I could fight a bear, but I could beat a bear. At least people are being honest. So nature will mess you up. And in less than 90 days, 3 fatal shark attacks in the place that, as Bell coins it, that wants to kill you from the minute you get off the plane, Australia. And yesterday morning, our time, a young woman was killed, 17. Like she just went to her prom the whole night, and it's in Australia right now. It is summertime, so it's very warm over there. They spend their what we think winter is in the oceans, like Santa Claus surfs, like that's the kind of thing. And she was attacked.
A surf lifesaver since she was just 8 years old, Charlize Samuda was devoted to saving lives on this beach, only to lose her own here. From her dad, Steve.
I had so many people come up and say that kid is so talented as a singer, and that as a dad it made me so proud.
The 17-year-old had just started year 12 last Friday.
Tomorrow is my first day of high school.
Described as a one-off, dedicated, musically gifted.
To have that talent taken away right now as a dad kills me.
Yeah, it would be. And here's the thing. There's been, I grew up in Southern California. I surfed. Like, one of the big things about, hey, why California is so cool is, at least back in my day, is we'd surf in the morning and we could be snowboarding in the afternoon or skiing. It's a hard life to find anywhere else on the earth that you can do that. But we always used to say, we know there's sharks out here. But now with drones, it's given everybody a whole new perspective that they're not just out there. They're like, look at that. I think I'd bite that one. I think I'd bite that one. You guys want to get on the news? I'm going to bite that one. This, though, was this ferocious.
At Warren Beach this morning, they laid flowers in the surf. Charlize had been 100 metres offshore, 4:45 p.m. Friends nearby at the time.
I could hear screaming. Next minute, all hell broke loose.
She suffered catastrophic upper body injuries.
Look, it's had a huge impact on the life-saving community right around Australia.
It happened on Bribie Island, 70 kilometres north of Brisbane. There have been attacks here before.
Just sitting waiting for a set and something come up underneath me.
This, Australia's 3rd shark fatality in 6 weeks.
Given the season and the location, it is most probably a bull shark.
But from Charlize's parents, a plea.
We don't want people to stop coming to the beach.
With the state's 36,000 volunteers now mourning the loss of one of their own.
People don't realise how strong the red and yellow is.
And that is their surf, their Hawaii 5-0 kind of surf, we have the red for our lifeguards. That's theirs. It is, scary. If you've ever been to certain places, you have no idea how big a great white shark is. You have no idea how big many animals are. The bull shark has more testosterone than a bull elephant and a rhino, a male rhino. Think about that. And this bit her entire chest off. There was a guy that was surfing on the 3rd of January. They saw him being attacked, and they never found the rest of his body. So they knew it was a great white. And I say this jokingly, but it's sad. It's horrific. But you need to know where you are on the food chain. You do. And it's weird, like, well, we're nowhere near water. Yeah, but you know what? We go out. We go out into all kinds of things. We're not too far from the coast. A little day drive. How long does it take to get to the coast from here?
Not too many hours. How long is it down
Depending
to?
on which one you're going to.
Yeah, if you're going to the Gulf of Mexico, what, 3 hours?
Gulf of America.
Yeah, you can get down there about 4 or 5 hours, something like that.
And if you go to Carolinas, it's probably roughly the same, something like that.
See?
That's more like 9.
Is it?
Yep.
Man, I'd speed.
No. You just got to be careful, people. Whether you're out in the woods, right?
Ken's back there trying to get me arrested.
I know. Look at that. Whether you're out in the woods or you're driving with Belle, you got to be careful. But here's something else. One of the reasons these things grab our attention is the same reason that accidents happen with planes and it grabs our attention. Because it doesn't happen every day. Well, maybe in Australia, but elsewhere it doesn't. It doesn't happen every day. It happens very rarely that you see this. More people will die from wasps than this. But it is scary because there's a side of us that can't imagine not being top of the food chain.
And because of that, you have no concept of what it means to be eaten alive.
Which has to be just like
horrific.
Yeah, and it's, the thing with a shark is it has no thumbs, for those of you not keep score. So how it sees what you're like is it takes a bite.
Yeah, it's just checking, but you're bleeding out.
But when it hits you, and depending on what it was, this bull shark bitter, it was pretty bad. The great white shark that hit that guy, it was ferocious from what I understand. He had no chance. And then there was another guy who had his neck basically ripped off, who was spearfishing, which I wouldn't, if you told me I'm going to give you $1 million, you got to spearfish right here in Australia for a day. I'm like, sorry, I'll keep playing the lottery. Like, there are better things that I can do than to go down below. So just recognize, we as human beings, there's something weird about the fact that we're not top of the food chain without a gun. And when we're in a place like the ocean, we are not only not top of the food chain, we're not even good. We are floppy and just ridiculous. Think about how fast Michael Phelps swims, and that's a joke. They wouldn't like him, though. He's too bony.
Yeah, he doesn't have enough fat on his body.
He doesn't. And he's probably, all the weed and everything.
Can you imagine a great white's like, man, I just ate this swimmer and I feel really weird now.
I got to eat it again. I'm starving. You guys hungry too? Oh, my Lord. What's on the chopping block? Speaking of food chain, you've got Trump, you've got J.D. Vance, you've got Marco Rubio, you've got all these people, and, of course, you've got Elon Musk. And the next up scenario is Department of Education.
The Department of Education appears to be on the chopping block next. Sources say Trump is finalizing a plan to dismantle the department. The draft reportedly acknowledges only Congress can shut it down, but instead directs the department to diminish itself.
I don't know how that works. I don't know what exactly is going to take place with this, because Department of like a lot of these things, you're going to need anyone. You're going to need congressional approval. And they've got it. And this is where I want to see how Congress backs Trump in some of this stuff. You have congressional approval with the power that you have because you have a majority in both the House and the Senate. You can get stuff done. Are you going to get some of these things done? Are you going to wipe it out completely? Are you going to, because we talked about our report card of 4th and 8th graders, because it's weird that we go, well, what's 4th graders like? What are 8th graders like? But the 4th and 8th grade level last week, the struggles that we have with reading and math is beyond just evident. It was scary to find out that a decent portion of American adults can't read. That being said, we spend more money per pupil than just about anywhere on the planet, which really means we spend more money on admin and a bunch of other crap than anything else. But that aside, I have zero problems with taking on the Department of Education. There is no reason the states should be the leader in the education along with parents. And is there a place for the federal side of stuff? Maybe a little bit. You could talk about that. But they always ask for money. They always talk about education, and they never bring in the results that people are looking for. There's a reason that more and more kids are being homeschooled. There's a reason that more and more kids are looking around going, I need to go to private school, or we've got school choice here, and many other states are rolling it out. There's a reason for that, because they feel like they've been abandoned by a union that is more concerned about the union, more concerned about their political stature, more concerned about several other things outside of the education side of stuff, which sucks because there's so many damn good teachers out there. And what happens? They get caught up with the union insanity, or they feel like, I can't do anything more. I've had enough. It's not worth the money I'm making, and they go somewhere else. So I'm glad they're going to look at it, and this will, again, send everybody on the liberal side and the media just into a tizzy. And what did we start the show saying? If you want to continue to give Trump ammo, feed him all the stuff he wants by you freaking out. Make him happy by freaking out. He likes that. He feeds on it. That is his energy. His energy is those people losing their minds come at it in a much different way. And I would love to see it really return back to the states in a serious way. That's the great world that our founding fathers built, was states' rights, with the federal government being there for really big things, immigration, war, stuff like that, and us to kind of deal with the rest of stuff. Talk a little bit more about that. Bunch of other stuff. Some of you chiming in about shark attacks. When you go to nature, kids, just remember to be careful. Keep your head on a swivel, because you never know what may be around the corner. Could be a deer. It could be some cubs, and mama's looking for you. You don't want that. Or if you're in the ocean, it could be a shark.
Or maybe a mountain lion is just a little hungry.
Maybe. There's always that. Either way, you're losing. That's what we're trying to tell you here. It's the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Rough Greens, RUFFgreens.com. Use code Chad. Now, when you go to Rough Greens, what you're going to find is an amazing, incredible supplement for your dog and your cat. They want to give you a 90-day challenge. First thing they're going to do is they're going to send you out a Jumpstart trial bag for free. Okay, that's a $20 value. You're going to get absolutely free. You watch what happens over the next 90 days with your dogs. First and foremost, you're going to see a rise in their energy level. You're going to see them, really start to move. You're going to see their coats get shinier. After about 60 days, what you're going to see is improvement across the board with their digestive tract. And then you're going to see a dog that is super energetic and happier than you can believe. Same thing goes with your cats. Try a Jumpstart trial bag for free today. All they ask you to do is cover the cost of shipping. It's that simple. One scoop is all you need on top of your dog or your cat's food. Go to RUFFgreens.com. Use code Chad. It's a $20 value, absolutely free. They cover the cost. They cover the cost of that. They just ask you cover the cost of shipping. Roughgreens.com. Use code Chad.
All right, drivers in Murfreesboro still got that construction. The right lane is blocked. 840 westbound before Bill France Boulevard. Here in South Nashville, got a crash 24 eastbound after Murfreesboro Pike. Tulsi Gabbard just got some needed support as nominee for Director of National Intelligence. Tell you about it at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
On these tariffs, listen, you don't have to be smart in economics to know. This pushes the EU.
25% tariffs.
This pushes the EU. This pushes Canada. Pushes Mexico into the arms of China.
The unintended consequences of it, we don't know yet, and they will likely be far larger than any of us can calculate.
Say goodbye to your avocado toast and your tequila. We're going to see real pain. And again, it's not actually going to address the fentanyl crisis.
These are our friends, and we are treating them like trash. We are bullying them. Now he's going to tax our tequila and avocados?
Yeah.
My Lord.
What are we going to do?
What are we going to do? Mexico may take away avocados. We won't have avocado toast.
You know, it just blows me away the way Democrats act like tariffs are the worst thing in the world, but corporate taxes, no, you don't pay those. What are you thinking?
Yeah, hey, corporations, don't pass that off to anybody. It's absurd, and they're worried about avocado toast. And you do realize and it's not happening, at least not now. It was to happen. It'd be 2 or 3 weeks before you'd even feel it. But you got to freak out, man, because that's what it's all about. You got to freak out. What am I going to do with my avocado toast? Have you ever had avocado toast? Gross.
No, that is not a fair comment coming from you because you don't like avocados.
Doesn't matter. It sounds awful.
Do you like toast?
Yes, I love toast.
Well, then this is an issue with the avocado then. Let's not pretend.
Because it's stupid. It's a dumb thing. You've had avocado toast yet? You guys ever had, and this, what are they? You ever have this toast? It's avocado's not supposed to be on the toast. You can have a guacamole, right? And I'm sure there's a sandwich out there that likes it. Some people don't like it. Some people do on certain sandwiches. It's fine. But it's never meant to be toast. You know who did that? Damn youngsters, right? Who also put sriracha on everything.
That's me.
I put sriracha on everything.
On everything. But
on everything.
If you're ever in California, if you go by the place where they have the sriracha, your eyes will start to...
Oh, yeah.
That's what I hear.
It's like, oh, my God.
I remember seeing the stories about, what was the brand that had the chicken on it that, like, basically went out of business because they couldn't get enough supply?
Yeah, they had to shut down.
The people that lived around that factory were like, oh, my God, what the hell's going on?
It's brutal. It is. So, sriracha. And avocado toast. It's youngsters who are daring each other to eat more and more spicy things. Should have. Well, that's what happens when you have avocado toast. Just don't do it. Have you had it? You've had it, I'm sure, Bell.
Absolutely. I love avocados and I love toast. How do you lose by putting them together?
You're a hipster. Ken?
Yes, I'm a hipster doofus.
I don't have the patience to make it, man. If my wife, whips it up, I'll put it on a bagel or something like that. But mostly, I put it in my, on my enchiladas and tacos, stuff like that.
Like the way you're supposed to in real life.
Why is it that you're doing any menial labor in your house when you have kids?
Yeah, they should be doing that.
Yeah, they're never
They probably
home.
like avocado toast.
My kids are flying the coop.
Oh, my goodness. What are you going to do?
I don't know, man. I know this. We're not having any more.
Really? That's what well, your wife may not be, but you never know. It's always a possibility, right? Like, never count yourself out is what I'm trying to tell you.
Biden's not in office anymore.
A day without an immigrant. What was that? We'll talk a bit about that. A bunch of other wacky, crazy, fun stuff, as well as some people who disagree with me about Donald Trump. So we'll talk about that. This is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7.
2 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes, and we're still monitoring reports of that mass shooting at a school for adults in Sweden. Police saying around 10 people have been killed on the campus. The shooter believed to be among the dead. The suspect not known to them before the shooting, and police say has no connection to a gang. Officers do not believe terror was a motive. Right now in our nation's capital, Susan Collins has reportedly announced support for Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence, and her confirmation vote is headed to the full Senate floor. Stephen Portnoy says a group of FBI agents are suing to block the release of lists of those who worked on January 6th cases.
The class action lawsuit points to a form FBI agents were ordered to fill out seeking specific details of their work on January 6th cases. The expressed fear is the answers will be used to target agents for discipline and dismissals, adding that there's no other legitimate agency purpose for the information to be collected. The suit notes FBI agents are tasked by their leadership and, quote, not free to refuse assignments based on their political or personal preferences.
Democrats in Congress are getting angrier and angrier at Elon Musk and other members of the Department of Government Efficiency.
We ought to be pushing in every way, on every occasion, every opportunity possible, to make the point that this kind of government is not normal. It's not American. It's not going to be tolerated by the American people.
That's Connecticut Democrat U.S. Senator Richard Blumenthal on word the White House finalizing an executive order to try to dismantle the Federal Department of Education. Tariffs on imports to the European Union could be next, as we hear from Alexis Christoforous.
Think olive oil, cheese, wine, chocolate, the list goes on. We import more than we export to the EU. And he is upset that there's not that balance.
D.C. plane crash. Recovery efforts continue. 55 bodies of the 67 people who died have been recovered, says Gio Benitez.
Crews are hoping to pull the plane's cockpit out of the water today. After they do that, once they get the plane fully out of the water, then they will work on getting the Black Hawk out of the water.
A popular 24/7 breakfast restaurant chain with more than 2,000 locations is passing along the higher cost of eggs to you. Waffle House says it's adding a $0.50 egg surcharge due to rising costs from the shortages blamed on the bird flu.
I bet you they don't have any kind of avocado toast there because they're American.
They haven't mentioned anything about avocado and toast, but they say they will adjust or remove this egg surcharge as market conditions allow. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
You can text the program. We love hearing from all of you. That's what we do here, because that way we go through so many different stories. Try to get to all of your texts. Bell and I, one of us is trying to reply to you. Somebody said that Trump's the great uniter, trying to unite people. And I'm like, he's not the great uniter.
I need to remind people, too, when I send you the Taylor Swift gift back after you text something, that means I think you had a great comment. That's not, good. I'm not like dissing you. I'm saying you said something that was awesome.
Yeah. See, he doesn't look at Taylor Swift as a liberal loon. He looks at her as a talent.
As a talent, as a gorgeous, talented, just smart woman.
She sells a lot of records.
She does. Hey, you know what?
And tickets.
Tickets?
Tickets, too.
What is she worth, $1.5 billion? She's doing all right.
I think it's 1.2 now.
Yeah, that's doing pretty good. So somebody's saying, because I said Trump feeds off, he likes to troll. Let's be honest. You don't think he likes to troll? Of course he loves to troll. He lives for this stuff. And the fact that everybody reacts makes him even happier. And somebody says, you're immature. Well, I'm fine with that. He wants to unite. I think he just likes to pretend. You like to pretend you know everything. I'm always disappointed when I hear you. Well, that's fine. There's other stations. You don't have to listen to me. But if you think Trump is the great uniter, you're fooling yourself. Can I get out? Do you think, Ken, that Trump is the great uniter in chief?
I just cover the news, Brother Chad.
That's a no. I'll speak for him. Bell, do you think he's the great uniter?
No, I think he's the troll in chief.
Yeah.
I think that's what he loves doing, and that's a part of his makeup and his personality DNA is that he likes to get things done, but he wants to rock the boat all the way to the finish line.
Because he understands that being a disruptor is part of what life is all about. Because that's a business thing. So people who go far in business are disruptors. People who go far in business, when you go and look, Bezos, Elon Musk, Jobs, go back all the way through the way back days of, Carnegie and Rockefeller, and you can go on. They disrupted the normal situation, and they didn't care what people think. And they were willing to step on toes and hurt feelings because that's what they needed to do to get stuff done. Everybody would love to unite the country, but if you think he's going to unite the country, then is he going to stop trying to deport people? Because half the country doesn't want him to deport everybody in the world. Well, no. Because to get stuff done, you're going to have to make decisions, stick to those decisions, and in doing so, you are going to disappoint some people. And the goal, though, is to come out the other side where you get a lot done, and people who, because there's always going to be a certain group of people that will never like anything you do. I mean, in politics today, if you pick a side and you say, I'm running, no matter how much you're loved, 50% of people are going to jump to the other side and going to like you. Now, you can do a lot of things that may end up being great, and long term, they look back and go, you know what? I didn't dislike him. I didn't hate him. He got us through some times. He did some stuff that ended up being pretty good. But you're always going to have a certain group of people that will always have a disdain for you in politics because you're on the other side. No, I think Trump would love to unite the nation, but that's if the people that don't agree with him agree with him. He's not going to change who he is. We saw that last week when he came out and gave his press conference and started with the DEI stuff, and it could have been, it was the right time, right place. That wasn't it, but whatever. But he's not going to change who he is. And he recognizes that, but he also recognizes he's going to do what he does. He's going to anger people. And I said, he feeds off that stuff. If you don't think he's not laughing, he's laughing all the time at stuff like this. When they freak out, oh, they're going to get rid of this, or they're going to get rid of that, or Elon walked into a room that he wasn't supposed to be in. We last hour we heard them talking about avocado toast, which apparently Waffle House does have, which I didn't even know, so I can't ever go there again. I don't know what that's all about.
Man, you've got some weird lines drawn in the sand. I'll give you that much.
You know what it is? Because thing about avocado toast, little sidebar here. We were talking about avocado toast last hour. I don't like it. I think it's silly. I think it's a made-up thing. So, it's
nice.
One person said it's a made-up thing. So guys, So guys with man buns can charge $10 for toast.
You just don't like avocados. If it was peanut butter and jelly on toast,
I love that.
You would be all
you know
into
what, though?
it.
I like toast with butter. That's it. I don't want peanut butter and jelly toast.
So you want it on regular bread?
That's it. Regular bread, sourdough or white bread. It's not supposed to be on anything else.
Dudes with man buns can charge $10.
That's exactly what it is. Who's got an art degree and $200,000 and...
I'm honestly glad I don't even know how to put my hair into a man bun.
You don't?
I don't have a clue how to do that. That's why it's in a ponytail.
You know what's funny about that, though? Like, it used to be like you did that. You're like, oh, were you a samurai? Now it's like, oh, you.
Now you're a hipster doofus.
You went to art college? Those are nice suspenders. Those are lame. Oh, jeez. A day without an immigrant. This happened in some places. Did anybody notice?
Protesters were on the streets in California and Arizona. Elsewhere, migrant-owned businesses were shuttered for the day. At a construction site in Dallas, it isn't just a one-day work stoppage.
We're paying over $5,000 a day in interest right now. So, if they don't show up for a whole week, that's delaying the project.
Developer Danny Lee says workers are afraid to show up at the job site for fear of being deported. It's costing him money, but he says he supports his employees.
Their work is essential to our community.
It's true. Look, there's so many things that need to be addressed when it comes to immigration and what are we going to do with a lot of people that are here. And readily, many of you have chimed in, and as mad as you get at me, and something that I will always be honest with you guys. I'll tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. There are plenty of places you can go. They'll give you all the affirmation you want. Throw them all out. It's just never going to happen for a lot of reasons. Besides the fact that we just don't have the money to catch everybody. We don't. We also don't have the want. Some people may have the want, but we don't have the want or will because like anything else, when push comes to shove, not everybody that you think is on board. It's easy to say stuff when they're on board, but the minute it really gets down to that point, I think you'd find out a lot of people are like, well, my donors don't want that and this and this. So the question is, what do we do with the people that are here, that have been here for years? Because one thing that's not being talked about is we need births above replacement. So we need to have a certain level of births to replace the gray tsunami that's coming. In fact, Bella and I were talking to some lady on Friday. She's got a healthcare, like a nurse company, and she was talking about the giant gray tsunami that was coming because there's going to be so many people that are retired. Who's replacing them in the workforce? That's taxable. But that's also the other side of it. That's taxable.
Yeah, it was Emily who has a medical provider service for like in-home and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, but that's going to happen soon. We've got a big transfer of some wealth coming. That's going to be the biggest in human history. And that includes businesses being sold, things of that nature. But if we're not going to produce children, I don't care what you do, right? We can kick everybody out of here. And if we don't produce children, eventually we'll stop being a nation. China is going to lose 1 billion people by the end of this century at the rate they're going. And if you think they're bad, Korea and Japan, I mean, they're in so much trouble over there because they're not having kids. You need to replace your population with young, able-bodied people who want to work, who are also taxable. Because as you retire, guess what? You don't get one person assigned to you to take care of you when it comes to your taxes. No, you need anywhere between 8 and 12 people. What happened in a place like France, what happened in a place like Greece, people retired and they didn't have anybody to replace them. Some retired way too early. That was France's part on top of that. But what ends up happening is you've got all these people that are retired. Nobody's in the workforce. So instead of having a 8, 10, 12 to 1 for every retired person, they had a 1 to 1 or 2 to 1. Well, you can't cover that. I don't care what kind of tax. You could take the money from the person, say you're just working for these 2 people, and it's not going to cover it. So we have to find out what we're really going to do when it comes to people that are here that aren't criminals, that need to pay fines, because we have to address that. But we can't do any of that until we fix the border first and foremost, which I think is happening at a decent clip. And the other half of it is, who wants to be here because they want to be American? I thought this guy was fascinating. This is a guy who is Latino, as he likes to put it, who is not happy with what he's seen in places where people are running around burning the American flag, carrying the Venezuelan flag, the Mexican flag, the Honduran flag, the Palestinian flag. Angry and pissed at what? Tell me. You want to be here? Because if you want to be here, then act like you want to be here. Well, that's not it. It is freedom of speech, and you may be doing it because your cousin or your mom or your aunt, but come on now. You're not running around angry at your country that, in theory, you came from when you should be, because they're the ones who let you down. We're the ones who gave you a chance.
This message goes to all you Latinos who were not born in the United States of America, talking to other Latinos who were born in the United States of America. You guys are talking to us because we stand with the mass deportations of these illegal immigrant criminals who are not only criminals in America, but also their own country. You can get upset with us all you want. At the end of the day, none of you have to be there, nor do those individuals.
Boom. Tell me more, my friend. Tell me more. Right? Because he is a Latino, and he feels he's got the place to say this. Because if you don't know this, a lot of Latinos, my grandfather, born and raised in Mexico, his name was Jesus. Jesus would have built the wall so big if given the opportunity. He wanted the opportunity for people to come here and do it legally. And yes, I think at times we make it ridiculous, right? Because there's so many people that want to come here. That being said, he was completely anti-illegal immigration. It drove him crazy. And he felt, hey, I got a voice to be heard in this.
I don't know who you guys think you are, but the audacity to come to someone's country and demand that certain things not be done because you say so. This is exactly why I consider myself and will always call myself American. No soy mexicano. I'm not Mexican. I'm Latino, but I'm an American Latino. I like how you guys leave out that there's even Mexicans right now in Tijuana protesting against illegal immigration, saying we don't want them here either, America.
Man, other countries, especially the Central and South American countries, they're very nationalistic, and they look at illegal immigration. They're fine that if you're walking through their country, coming here, or going elsewhere, they don't care. But if you think that you're going to stay there and compete for a job, oh.
You also got Mexicans not like Venezuelans. El Salvadorians do not like Hondurans. Cubans and Puerto Ricans. Call one of them the opposite, and you'll see how quickly they'd get upset. Even though we may share the same color of skin, that don't make us all kin. But for some of you guys upset that American Latinos are supporting this mass deportation of these individuals, just remember, you don't have to be here. You can always go back to your country and try to turn it into the America you want it to be. Straight up, y'all can get the out of here.
Here. Man, and big proponent of free speech. Somebody said, well, if they're here legally, they don't have free speech. Chances are a vast majority of these people are kids that were probably born and raised here, maybe second, third generation even. They've gone to college, been indoctrinated to the insanity, and been told that they're being treated horribly because somebody that is their great aunt or cousin that happens to be here illegally may be tossed out, so they're running around screaming like a chicken with their head cut off. Ah! We've got to figure this out. And somebody said, well, they want to be here temporarily. No, I think there are plenty of people here that, as I like to say, they're here for the booty call. They don't want to marry America. They're not interested in that. They want to make money and they want to bounce. Then there are plenty of people here who look at America as the dream. What do we do with them long term? And I think giving them a pathway to citizenship that will take decade and a half, tons of fines, and make sure that every year they come back to renew their visa, stuff like we've got to look at it in that direction, because people are going to be disappointed and upset when we look up 6 months or a year from now and Trump hasn't got rid of 20, 25 million people? It's just something that logistically, financially, and manpower-wise, we can't do. It isn't going to happen because we also don't have the want to tell companies you can't hire people because a lot of those people are your donors. And so you've already turned a blind eye to that. Coming up, a little bit of the Doge. Elon making people angry. More comments on avocado toast. Who knew I was going to touch and spark such controversy? Plus, people want to know about Bell and his sweet man bun. We'll do that straight ahead. It is Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. Super Bowl coming up. The big game. Are you ready to win? Prize Picks, fantasy sports daily. They've got opportunities for you that are big, big time. Here's the thing. It's easy to play fantasy sports when it comes to what goes on with Prize Picks. So you go down to Prize Picks, you download the app, use my code Chad. They're going to give you $50 the minute you play your first $5 lineup. And for the big game, Patrick Mahomes, 1 passing yard. For you, you win 1 square. They've got all these big, giant, like promo games going on. You win up to 1,000 times your money. Just little things like that where they're giving you an opportunity, basically saying, hey, here's a free win for you. Now you got to just win 1 more. It's that simple. You pick a player. Do you think they're going to get more or less? That easy. Go to Prize Picks, download the app today, use code Chad. You play your first $5 lineup. They're going to give you a $50 bonus immediately. Prize Picks, download the app now. Use code Chad. Prize Picks, run your game. Trump is back in office. And now in honor of 47, how about this with our friends over at the Wellness Institute of Nashville? 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression. In the big 47 offer of 2025, Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley, experts, the best around. So let me tell you about non-surgical spinal decompression. This is how it works. So they have machines that are incredible. I don't know how they work. It's probably magic, but it's incredible. They heal the disc by opening the disc so that the blood and the nutrients can get to the areas it needs to get to help right, heal your spinal disc and your nerve. They've got incredible, incredible machines. They've got top-notch technology. And most important, they got Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley. They're ready for you to be pain-free. Their Big 47 going on right now. This is a big offer. Start your new year off right. Pain-free life. That's what it's all about. And it is absolutely possible. Trust me on that. Call today, the Wellness Institute of Nashville at 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, or go to painisbad.com.
A bill has been filed in the Tennessee General Assembly that would deny a child in the country illegally the right to a free public education. We'll tell you about it at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
People are very upset about avocado toast. I'm not the only one, because it's not supposed to be on toast. It's not supposed to be anywhere near that stuff, people. I'm telling you guys that right now. Several of you were a little angry. You said, you're liberal. Look at the way you're talking about this stuff. I'm being honest. I told you guys this, and I'll tell you this all the time. I will tell you the truth. I'll tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. There are plenty of shows out there that will tell you that. If you think we're getting rid of, somebody said, well, once we cut their job opportunities off, are you really going to do that? We have what, 20 million, 23, 24 million people here? Let's just say 15 million people have jobs. You're going to cut off that many and not have repercussion inside of the economy, which will affect prices. Things will go up, and those jobs probably won't be replaced that quick. So that means inflation may grow and frustration will grow amongst who? The voters.
There's a level amongst American workers where they are going to work for a certain amount of money, and they'll choose not to beyond that. And if you get rid of all of the illegals in one fell swoop, which is obviously impossible, then at that point, they're going to have to start raising the money they spend on labor to get more citizens to actually come down and do those jobs. And what happens when you raise the price of labor?
Yeah.
The price of the product goes up. So if you're willing to accept that, then it's okay to have your kind of your foot in the door and say, no, they all got to go. But you got to realize what you're giving to yourself when you make that demand.
And who's going to do those jobs? And part of it also is, as I said, a retiring, graying nation needs to be able to replenish its workforce. If we don't, that's not good. We need a certain tax base to support the people that are retiring. That's just math. I know people don't want to hear that, but that's what the reality of this situation is. We would love for it to only be Americans and a few select people. It's just never going to happen. It isn't. So we've got to look for what's the real solution. And somebody said, well, if we got rid of, and half the people went home, that still leaves 10 million people. And whenever I say, what's your solution? So many of you say, well, I really don't have one. Just get rid of them. It's not going to happen. He's not Thanos, right? Like Trump's not snap the fingers and everybody disappears. Not that he probably hasn't tried. He's like, is that power real? It's not? Okay, I just want to make sure.
Don't want to ever skip a potential tool.
Somebody says, deport everyone. Okay, well, how do we do that? How do we deport everyone? We don't have the manpower. So how does that happen? That's the great question. How does that happen?
And if it just happened carte blanche overnight, how do you replace the work that they do, not the profit, but the value they bring into the market? It's like you can't just sit there and say, okay, you know what, we're not gonna have oranges picked anymore, or we're not gonna let you stay in this country even though you have a PhD because you came here illegally and you haven't done anything wrong beyond that. Though, I mean, at some point you've got to start picking your battles.
At some point you do, and at some point people are going to get frustrated because it's not happening fast enough and they're not getting rid of enough people. And then what happens? We all want, it's like anything. We want everything made in America. We want everybody to be American, and we want it to be cheap. That isn't the world we live in. So let's try to figure out what we do in the world that we live in and that we can control, and come to the realization that it's going to have to be a little bit more gray than black and white, which is what, The left wants everybody to stay. The right wants everybody gone. And then the exhausted majority, us in the center middle, are like, all right, so what's the reality of this? Talk about this, bunch of other stuff straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk, 99.7.
2:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. A stormy couple of days ahead. Tell you about it during the full forecast in 5 minutes. At least 10 people killed in a shooting at an adult education center in Sweden today. Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson calls it the country's worst mass shooting. He says darkness is being cast over Sweden tonight. Police say the suspect they believe is among the dead. They say he was not known to them previously. They do not suspect terrorism. Right now in Tennessee, a bill has been filed in the General Assembly that allows local school districts and charter schools to opt out of enrolling children who are in the U.S. illegally. It is a direct challenge to the 1982 Supreme Court ruling that gave children illegally in the U.S. the right to a free public education. And in our nation's capital, Tulsi Gabbard's nomination as Director of National Intelligence headed to the full Senate after it made it out of the Intelligence Committee on a 9-8 vote. Susan Collins saying she supports it. 5,000 names have been turned over by the FBI to the Department of Justice as part of the Trump administration's request to see who worked on the January 6th investigation. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio on the offer from El Salvador's president to house American deportees, even incarcerated American citizens in his country's prisons.
Obviously, we'll have to study it on our end. There are obviously legalities involved. We have a constitution. We have all sorts of things, but it's a very generous offer.
He says it would be cheaper. And Rubio also discussing the recent freeze on foreign aid now that operations at U.S. aid have been cut.
I issued a blanket waiver that said if this is life-saving programs, okay, if it's providing food or medicine or anything that is saving lives and is immediate and urgent, you're not included in the freeze. I don't know how much more clear we can be than that.
That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Rough greens and meow greens. So if you're like me and you love your animals, you want your animals healthy. Rough Greens doing something right now. They want a 90-day challenge. They want you to give them 90 days. Let them show you what they can do for your animals, your dogs, your cats. Been giving my dogs and cats Rough Greens since we brought them home, and they love the taste of it. It's got vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, all this incredible stuff in it, and it is awesome. Right now, they want to give you a Jumpstart bag for free. All you have to do is cover the cost of shipping. And then watch what happens over 90 days. See the change in your animal from better energy, better coat, better teeth and gums, digestive tract, and when it comes to, especially some dogs and cats a little longer in the tooth, not only the energy, but their aches and pains are going to subside. It is incredible. It's like getting a whole new animal again. Try a Jumpstart trial bag today of Rough Greens or Meow Greens. All you have to do is cover the cost of shipping. RUFFgreens.com. Use code CHAD. That's roughgreens.com. You cover the cost of shipping. They get you a bag for free. Roughgreens.com, code CHAD. Busy Bee is ready for you. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. So right now, let's just say you've got some issues still, a little cold outside. What are you going to do? Still chilly at night. You need a little help with your HVAC. Busy Bee is there for you. Tons of amazing deals, including free air duct cleaning with purchase of a new complete whole home AC. Top of that, they've got an amazing cleaning package, right? So when you buy the medium one, so small, medium, and large, you're going to get the large free. And when it comes to, this is what I love right here. So cool. They're going to give you a complimentary smart thermostat with any HVAC replacement. It's a $200 value. Why does it matter? It's going to get hot here soon. I think we know that. It's going to get sticky. And when you're driving home, you're going to be like, I want it to be 68 and cool. Boom. That is done. Let's talk a little plumbing as well. Best offers right now. Free automatic whole home shutoff with leak detection with any mainline water replacement or whole home water repipe. $300 credit on tankless conversions, installs, and $250 off a smart auto whole home water shutoff. For more than the satisfied promise and famous Bee Hike Love, call Busy Bee Plumbing today and Cooling, 775-7833, 775-7833, or visit busybhvac.com. Dun, 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 dun. Man,
that sounds like a white zombie.
Oh, yeah.
I was getting ready to say.
Little white zombie.
1965.
Little rock and roll right there, guys. It's the voice. Some of you are like, I get what you're going with immigration, right? Like, we'd all like it to be perfect. It's just not. And this is on us. And by that, I mean our government. Our government allowed this to happen. Both sides played it. The Republicans had numerous times to do things, and they didn't. Democrats had numerous times to do things, and they didn't, because the issue was far more important than finding a solution. But we, now as Americans who voted, we spoke, we want a solution, but the solution isn't going to be what a lot of people are thinking. And some of you are like, deport every one of them. Easier said than done. And go after the employers. Okay. Well, if you're going to go after the employers, many states, you're not allowed to ask if they're legal. They give you an ID. What if they got a fake ID and they get past you? We'll punish the employers. How are we going to do that? We're going to make everybody go through a federal system? Well, then, oh, my God, now we're to the feds and this. Where is the reality? That's what I want to know. Because I know what I would do, and I've talked about it. I think giving people a situation where, yeah, the pathway to citizenship may be here, but it is going to take a long time. We're talking a decade plus before you ever get to that. You're going to be allowed to stay here. You're going to pay a fine, back taxes if you haven't paid it. We can go on and on. But that's, and we're talking about people who have not committed a crime. And if you have committed a crime, then you got to go. And I'm not talking about a jaywalking ticket. Let's be real. And anybody who's gone through the asylum process and you've been deemed time for you to go and you failed, you got to go. Anybody who's committed a crime, again, not jaywalking, crime, you've got to go. Anybody who's come here illegally and not gone through the asylum process, just snuck in, well, there's issues there. Let's find out what the reality of what can get done. Because what's going to happen is people are going to get disappointed in a situation where right now they're rolling a boulder uphill and they've got a spoon and the wind's going downhill and it's an ice mountain. It's going to be tough. How do we do it in a smart way, in a real way? Which is government. That's hard to say. And this is one of the few things the feds have the power to do. Speaking of the feds, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Avocado Toast himself, Chuck Schumer.
Have they even done a little research? Have they heard the other side? Or are they just in such rush to cut anything they can so that they can keep tax breaks and give deeper tax breaks to the wealthiest of Americans?
He's talking about the Doge.
I have a question.
I have an answer.
The 1% pay 46% of the collected income taxes.
That's not true.
1% pay 46% of the collected income taxes.
Yes.
Who should be getting tax breaks? The bottom 49% that don't pay anything in and often get money back due to credits?
Yeah. Well,
they should get tax breaks?
Well, yeah. Well, no, what they shouldn't, they don't call them tax breaks. Remember, they're getting benefits. So,
okay.
Yeah, it says that's the redistribution right there. because the government believes. Remember, they all talk about trickle-down economics doesn't work. Unless, of course, the trickle-down comes from the government. Then apparently it does work. And they're only doing this, the Doge, to upset the liberals and to give tax breaks. No, they're doing it because there's a waste of money. That whole U.S. aid thing, if Trump came today and said, hey, I'm taking this $50 billion and I'm going to put it towards homelessness, what do you think the left would do? Well, are you going to complain about that? No, some of them would go, well, we can find another $50 billion for that. If you said you were going to put it towards, I don't know, healthcare, they would find a way to complain because that's their job. When you're in the minority, your job is to be offensive in trying to protect whatever you see as your issue.
Whatever Doge is doing, it's not democracy. We know what democracy's like. It's out in the open. It's not secret. You do two sides debate, and then the elected officials make decisions.
Well, the elected officials are making the decisions. Well, somewhat. Trump's making a lot of the decisions. But the elected officials, like when it comes to the U.S. aid, what I think they're going to do is they're going to fold it into the State Department, which is where it was before it became its own agency. And that's great. The other side of it is they're going to, when it comes to Department of Education, because that's the thing, they're saying, all right, we need to back off. We need to do some stuff. Less is more, give more to the states. We'll see what that looks like. But all of these things are going to have to go through Congress. And Congress is famous for giving up much of their power. They are famous for allowing agencies to do their job, to set fines, in some cases to try to set laws and enforce laws, because you don't want to always be on the record for something. So if there's a way to make things go a little longer, if there's a way to basically not have your name tied to something, well, here's the thing now, Republicans, you've got this opportunity to debate the Department of Education, to debate the U.S. aid, to debate a lot of these things and then put it to a vote. No, Trump can't willy-nilly just sign something and it goes away. But the conversation's been started, and that's a lot of what happens. Remember, Biden willy-nilly signed a bunch of student loans away, and then what happened? Then the judicial branch said, yeah, you can't do that. That's not constitutional. Power of the purse remains with Congress. They're going to have to be a part of this. Trump can set the agenda. Trump is the great salesman. Sell it to the American people. Why we need to get out from this insanity and go from there. But when I listen to, the likes of Chuck Schumer, who was worried about avocados the other day. No offense, Chuck.
Well, let's be honest. He was trying to protect us on our corona, too.
Yeah, he was. I love people hammering him. What is the one person called? Chuck Schumer's hilarious. Mr. Backroom Deals himself. Of course they're all backroom deals. Tons of it. Tons of backroom deals. That's what politics is. Politics is backroom deals. Politics is, it's unfortunate that we're in this position. We don't have the transparency. And I like where we're going with some of this Doge stuff. Can it get ridiculous? Yes. Can they cut or say they're going to cut a lot of stuff? Yes. But with Trump, like anything, you're going to throw everything against the wall. What sticks? I don't know what's going to stick. Maybe some stuff, maybe no stuff. Depends when it gets to court. Because everything from here on out is going to be court-based. What is the thing legally you can do? We set this up, our founding fathers, in a way that there were guardrails and that there was going to be co-equal branches. One of the branches, we'll call them Congress, decided, I don't really want to be a big part of all of this. So that's where we are. You can text us. Love hearing from all of you. We were talking about immigration earlier. Somebody's like, well, we can have all these things when it comes to American workers, and we can just get them to do the job. We can't get a younger generation to do any jobs. We can't. They don't want to. There are 7 million working age men in this country who don't have a job and have fallen off, like basically off the planet for the most part. Think about that. Now, some of them are hustlers, right? They've got a side gig here and a side gig there. But there are plenty of young men who do not have a gig and aren't looking for a gig. So to say we're going to just get people to go do those jobs, that's crazy, because we're not. Hell, we can't find good help here half the time. No, there's nothing to you, Bill. Nothing to you. I think you're pretty good people. Sure. What was that from?
Saturday Night Live.
Oh, my goodness. So many of you, again, when we're talking about immigration, I like to be open and honest and see where we go with this. But if we're here 6 months or a year from now, and what happens then if we can't do all the things that everybody thought he was going to do? Immigration helped get him in the first time, and it definitely helped him the second time. Biden and his horrific immigration. Stemming the tide is going to be great. But how do we deal with it for real is the thing that I think most people, and some of you will say, you're awful, you're horrible. I get it, you're a liberal in disguise, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. But most of you are like, yeah, we need to get rid of the bad guys. We need to figure out what to do with the rest, because you recognize. And people say, well, we're going to go after employers. The employers aren't going to fire all their people that they know are going to come to work every single day and work their butts off. They're not. Well, we're going to hold them accountable. If we're serious about it, then do it. It's the same thing with tariffs. If the goal is to manufacture things here, then you know what? Man up. Say anybody who manufactures something outside of America and you can do it here, we're going to hit you with a tariff so you won't ever think about manufacturing elsewhere. Then bring it home. And if people have to pay more for it, well, that's it. Are they willing to do that?
Yeah, they have a choice whether or not they want to. There's plenty of things that you're always going to have options on. And then the critical stuff, you should be glad you have access to it to begin with, because there's a lot of countries out there that don't.
No. Oh, no. And we do. I would love to see us bring manufacturing home. But we decided, hey, you know what? Let's be a consumer-based society. So we consume, and we consume a lot. And a lot of it's from American companies that make stuff outside of here because they want to save as much money as possible, because the cheaper it is to manufacture, yeah, they got profits, but they know they can sell a bunch of it to you. We're going to wrap it up straight ahead. It is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. We're having a very serious discussion about people who leave stuff in the middle of somewhere, like a chair that's outside of the door here. And Matt is like, I don't even know what that's doing there. It's been there for a couple days, right?
Hello. Check 1 2.
Check 1 2.
Hello.
Hi, sir.
How's it going?
It's going good.
This is going to. I think I'm going to have a good show this afternoon because I'm mildly grumpy.
Ooh, tell me.
I mean, you know how it goes.
Yeah.
Get a little mild, little edge. At least for me.
It's a good thing, right? Like, it's when
Little
I
edge.
played sports, there's always guys that you play against. It's like, you know what? Don't hit him. Don't do that because then he gets mad. He gets
Annoy him a little bit.
It gets a little edge to him, and then it's over. That's when he
Don't
plays his
anger
best.
him. Do not anger Happy Fun Ball.
Do not. Never.
Anger Happy Fun Ball.
I would never
Do not
do that.
taunt Happy Fun Ball.
Don't do any of that stuff.
No, so I noticed the chair in the, and look, I love our studio. Our brand new palatial studio here at 10 Music Circle East at the butt end of Music Row. So I'm not complaining, but the chair that was out there yesterday, I'm fascinated. It's not even I'm grumpy about it. I'm just fascinated, like
perplexed.
It's fascinating. I'm just fascinated. Like somebody put the chair in the middle of the hallway.
Yes.
And then they have subsequently decided that it's okay for it to stay there.
Do you think it's a study in human nature to see if people
more
will
than
move
that.
it? I saw a guy once, it was a magician, who, New York City, he put a wallet down. He circled it, like with chalk, and he left it there and he watched, and people walked over it. They walked around. Nobody picked it up.
So I've seen a similar study, where someone would take something of, just small value, like a microwave oven, for example, and put it out and put a note on it that says free, and just put it out in a space where there's a lot of people going by. And it would stay there for a good amount of time. Eventually, it would get picked up. If you put a note on it that says $10, see inside, it goes like 3 times as fast.
Yeah.
Stolen. Because it has value. It has assigned value.
And people think free is broke.
People think free is broke.
That's right.
Well, I think, circling back to the chair, I think the chair's broke. I think that's probably why the chair. Have you ever seen any other industry that collects discarded chairs like we do?
That demolishes them like we do.
I mean, we destroy them. We got a bunch of ploppers.
So we came in here with Ian and everybody a couple Sundays ago when they were flipping over to all the new stuff, and they said, "Hey, can you come? Sit where the people are. We're going to give you." They had moved the chairs out of here, and nobody could find any of. Like all the chairs were like, this handle doesn't work.
Right.
This thing's missing the portion of a leg. It's just, we'll keep it.
Radio is full of ploppers. I got in trouble when I was a program director in Birmingham for writing a missive about ploppers. And I was like, you people know who you are. We only have a limited number of functional chairs. We do not have chairs in the budget. If you are a plopper, stop it. You know what a plopper is?
Stop the plop. Yeah,
Stop
people
the plop.
just flop down.
Oh, just flop
I'm a
down.
plopper.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, Bell's a big time
absolutely.
plopper. Oh,
Well,
look at him.
He also likes avocado toast, so we're just.
What?
Yeah, man bun. It's a really uncomfortable situation.
Paying a little more for that avocado toast nowadays.
$10, right?
Right? Oh, yeah.
That's insane. What are you doing today, sir?
You know, I did a little more of a dive. I mean, I know that it's a story that's been running around for the last couple of days on USAID, but I did more of a deep dive. If USAID or USAID is not the heart of the reckless, governless bureaucracy, I don't know what is.
It's pretty.
I mean, it truly is the best and biggest example of what we're talking about when we're talking about right-sizing government and getting it back to its really appropriate function. So we'll dive into that a little bit.
I like that. That's good.
Why does Matt hate Peruvian transgender comics?
I don't know.
Well, I'm well established on that front, Bell. I think I've gone over that time and again.
And again, our wacky beliefs don't always translate to other countries who don't want it, and we're forcing things on them as a condition to get stuff that they don't agree with, as some sort of, hey, if you do this, if you let women go to school, girls go to school, you've seen all this before. That's why they say China's taking over a lot of places, because they're like, here's $50 million. I don't care what you do with it.
Well, they're playing the long game. They're going to take over with guns and tanks at some point.
Yeah,
I think in their
Belt Road
estimation
was their big thing, but that didn't really go the way they thought it was going to go.
Well, and even that, I mean, you begin a program with the earnest, the most earnest of intentions. 1961, America. We want to, we do want to spread the concepts of democracy and all of those types of things to the rest of the world. So, hey, we can give you clean drinking water, but let us be here and talk to you about how to govern your people in the best possible fashion. Those sorts of things. Very noble pursuits. And a lot of these things that USA does, we wouldn't have a problem with it right now. It's all of the other stuff.
The other stuff.
That is amazing to contemplate. Plus, Joe Biden spent somewhere in the neighborhood of $260 billion, and nobody can find it.
Well, as you do.
I mean,
right?
As you're walking out the door.
Well, when you've got all that money, and it's like the cartels, right? You got $500 million in cash. If $4 or $5 million go missing or eaten by rats, you just move on with your life.
It's just the cost of doing business.
And that's exactly, well, when you have an unlimited supply of things that you can take from your customers, it's not a big deal.
Well, and we as a nation have become addicted to the idea that if we have a problem in our lives, and really the rest of the world by extension doing the same thing, don't worry about it. Just appeal to the U.S. government, and they'll take care of that for you.
Yeah.
And this is not an endless supply of dough, as we have seen over the past couple of weeks. So, well, I mean, we'll see how the American people react to it. I think they're reacting very positively. Democrats, not so much.
No. And I said earlier, and some people got mad, I said, Trump feeds off people freaking out. He likes it. He loves to troll. Everybody knows that. All you have to do is read his tweets and his truths. He likes to poke at people because, he feeds a little bit off of that. But the whole thing about we need to stop thinking that money solves all these problems. It doesn't solve everybody's problems in life. It may make things a little bit easier, but if we really want to get serious about helping these people, I've said, I don't want it. I don't want a nation build. Let's democracy build. You do that on your own. Let's capitalism build, because capitalism will take you closer to democracy than us standing there saying, do this, do that.
Well, from the nation-building standpoint, I would agree 100%. We've shown time and time and time again as we try to do these things, if a population is not ready to receive the responsibility of freedom and the responsibility of what is a democracy, then it's never going to stick.
No.
And it's just you're just throwing money at something. I mean, look at the times that we have attempted. I mean, we tried to do it in Afghanistan.
Yeah,
it was an absolute failure.
Everybody's tried something in Afghanistan.
Well,
you know what happens? It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
They want to live like it's the 6th century with some Fiat trucks and some Toyotas and some AK-47. Knock yourself out, brother.
Man, those Toyotas.
Those things are pretty cool, though.
I mean, if there wasn't so much death involved in those, I mean, great ads for the Toyotas.
Absolutely great.
They stand up. I'm just saying.
Toyota, we go through war.
They stand up.
That right there is Matt Murphy. He's straight ahead. You guys have a great rest of your day. Super Talk 99.7.